Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience. I'm here tonight with my third part of my best of 2021 video. The first part I covered headphones, the second part I covered headphone amps, and this is part 3, and I'm going to cover Dacs, amp DAC combos and accessories, and then I'm going to list a few of what I think are the best combinations, the best combinations of DACs, amps, headphones, just things that are, really synergized together really well. So, hoping this one's going to be a little shorter than the last two, but we'll find out. Anyway, I'm going to get started. I did want to mention, I mentioned this in my first two videos, that my recommendations are based on what I have actually heard and what I've actually reviewed. I just don't do that. I don't recommend things that I haven't heard yet based on other people's recommendations. So I'm not saying that my recommendations are necessarily the best. I'm just saying that these are the best or my favorites of what I actually have reviewed, and not necessarily, they're not all from this year, but some things have carried over from a year or two ago, and if they're still available, if I haven't heard something better, I'm still going to recommend those things. So anyway, I want to get started at the budget end, and my recommendation for the best budget DAC is the Topping E30, and that's goes for $149, and in my opinion it holds its own against DACs that up to $1,000. I mean, it's exceptionally clear and detailed. It has a large three-dimensional sound stage. It's a little bit thinner sounding than some of the more expensive, but then actually some of the more expensive DACs sound a little bit thinner and a little more analytical than the E30s. So it's just a DAC that I really enjoy. I reviewed it, I think, a little over a year ago, and I liked it so much that I did buy it. And it currently sells at $149. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it would be very hard to beat at that price. It's a DAC that you could use with other equipment, with an amp and headphones up in the $1,000, $2,000. Even I've used it with $3,000 headphones and don't really feel like it's lacking anything. I mean, there are better, but that'll take you 90% of the way to a $1,000 DAC, and it'll take you 80% of the way to a $2,000 DAC, in my opinion. So anyway, moving on. This is actually a DAC amp combo, but it's a fantastic deal in my opinion, and that's the iFi Zen DAC, which currently sells for $189. It's a very good DAC along with a very good amp, and at that price it would be hard to put together any kind of combination of separates or I don't know, I haven't reviewed everything, but I'm sure that would hold its own against anything in that price range. Moving up a little bit on the ladder at $249, I recommend the Topping D50S. It's got a few more features compared to the E30, a little bit slightly warmer sound, very detailed, very nice DAC, very small though. It's made into a machine piece of aluminum. It's only about 4 inches square, but it's kind of small and kind of hard to use the controls, but it's an excellent sounding DAC for the price, in my opinion. Moving up a little bit into the $500 to $999 range. My first pick is the Topping D70S, and that would be the MQA version that I reviewed. That currently sells for $650, and I am very, very impressed with this DAC. It has, not only does it have exceptional detail, but it has sort of a warm very R2R deck sound to it. I've compared it to a couple of R2R decks that cost 3 times as much, and the sound is actually very close. It's not quite there. I mean, I wouldn't pick it over these R2R Dacs that are 3 times the price, but it's like 90% of the way there for a third of the price. And it has a large, wide soundstage with a lot of depth and just a very rich, creamy, sort of, non-analytical sound. And I really, really, really like this deck. And I don't think you could do better for the price of $650. Another DAC I wanted to mention in that price range is actually an amp DAC combo, but some amp DAC combos I consider, that they put their effort into the amp and not so much the DAC. It was just kind of an add-on, and some are the opposite. They put their effort into the DAC and just kind of threw in an amp along with it. And this one in particular, the IDSD Neo by iFi, is one of those that I consider to be an excellent DAC with a pretty good headphone amp thrown in with it. There's nothing wrong with the headphone amp at all. It just doesn't have enough power for some of the harder to drive planar headphones. It's fine with any of the dynamic headphones I tried it with, and some of the easier planar headphones like Kennerton and that sort, but starting with like the Hi-Fi Man Sandara just seems to come up a little bit short on power, but it is an excellent DAC in my opinion. It's not the absolute last word as far as weight and impact of the sound, but it has one of the largest, most open sounding, three-dimensional holographic sound stages I've heard. The sound just comes from everywhere. It has very good separation of the instruments and outstanding soundstage. I really like it. It's just a very open sound. Also, I wanted to mention in that price range is also the Topping D90 SE, which is actually the flagship of the Topping line, and that sells for $899. And the Topping D90 SE is an exceptionally clean, exceptionally detailed. The resolution is outstanding. The only problem I have with it is in my opinion, a little bit dry and a little bit analytical sounding. I haven't done my full review on this yet. I did do my first impressions, and I do need to spend some more time with it before I do my full review. But right now at this point, I'm kind of leaning towards the D70S as my pick of the two, because it just has a warmer, richer, more R2R sound, where, the D90 definitely has that Delta Sigma sound to it. The two use different DAC chips, so I don't know, from different companies, so I don't know if that's the reason for it, but you probably can't beat the D90 SE as far as detail and resolution, but like I said, it does have a little bit of an analytical sound, but I still recommend it. I just prefer the D70 over it a little bit, and the D70 is about $250 cheaper. Moving up to the $1,000 to $1,999 category, I will be honest with you, I've only reviewed 2 DACs in this price category. One is the Audio GD R8 MK2, which is an R2R DAC, and I've had that for a few months and spent a lot of time with it and really do like it. The other is the Denafrips Pontus 2, which is also an R2R DAC, and I've only had that one probably about a month, and not even, I don't think, and I've done my first impressions video on that, but not my full review. I have spent quite a bit of time with it, listening to it, And to be honest, I have done some comparison between the two, the Audio GD and the Pontus, and flipping back and forth between the two actually sound very similar. And right now, I really don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like I've spent enough time with these to declare a clear winner. Okay, up until now, the Audio GD R8 was my favorite DAC. This is the MK2 version. Okay, the Pontus seems to be at least as good. Possibly a little bit better. I'm not sure yet. I need to spend more time with it. So I'm kind of leaning, when I jump back and forth, I'm kind of leaning towards the Pontus sounding slightly better, but I haven't quite figured out exactly why yet. The only thing I've picked up on is it might just have a slightly sharper focus to the sound. And but I can't say that for sure right now. So right now I'm just going to say, well, I don't think I mentioned prices. The Audio GD R8 MK2, if you buy it directly from Audio GD, you're looking at, how much was that? Did I not write down the price? I had it written down somewhere. I think it's like about 1,800. Hang on, I'm gonna have to look this up and start the video again. Okay, sorry about that. I actually forgot to write down the price of the R8 from Audio GD, so I had to stop my video. Now I'm gonna have to splice it together, and I'll let you in on a secret. I don't have a clue how to edit videos or do any of that. That's why my videos are just one shot beginning to end, and you know, mistakes and all. So anyway, I'm gonna have to try to edit these two parts together. But the Audio GD R8 MK2, if you buy it directly from Audio GD, you can get it for $17.80, but you're gonna pay a chunk on shipping on that from China. If you ship it to the US, and it's a big, heavy amp, weighs in about 26 pounds, you're probably going to pay $150 to $180 shipping on that. Or you can buy it directly in the US from Underwood Hi-Fi, and it's going to be $19.99 that way. But you know, by the time you pay shipping from China, it probably would work out pretty close either way. And Underwood does warranty the products, and I guess they have a facility, I think in Georgia, where they will do warranty repairs on your Audio GD equipment if you buy it from them. So that might be a good option, even if it's a few dollars more. So anyway, and the Pontus 2 from Denafrips sells for $1,817.11, and that is the current price in US dollars converted over from, what is that, what country are they made in? I can't even think of it right now. I guess I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was for this video. So anyway, but once again, I love both of these decks. They sound very, very similar, and I can't declare a clear-cut winner here. So like I said, I might be leaning a little bit towards the Denafrips. It's a little bit smaller. It's almost as heavy. It's about 25.5 pounds, and there is a picture of it behind me. And I think it looks a little bit nicer. So anyway, I'm going to move on. I didn't review any Dacs up in the over $2,000 range, so hopefully sometime in the near future I'll get something in that I can review in that price range, and not just leave it blank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover some DAC amp combos, and my budget recommendation is the iFi Zen DAC at $189. Like I said earlier, I don't think it could be beat at that price. Combos under $500, my recommendation is the iFi Zen DAC and the iFi Zen Can as a stack. I did have them both at the same time. I had them connected together through their 4.4 millimeter balanced output from the Zen DAC to the 4.4 millimeter balanced input of the Zen can, and just makes a really nice combo, really nice sounding. You can stack them on top of each other side by side. They don't take up much room, and it has enough power for everything up to the Hi-Fi Man HE560. In fact, it had plenty of power for that. And I mean, there might be a few headphones that you need a little bit more, but it's going to cover 95% of any headphones out there. Another recommendation in that price range is not really a combo. It's not one unit, but the topping D50S and A50S together make a really nice combo, and you can get both of those for about $470. Moving up to the $500 to $1,000 or $999 category. My first recommendation would be the Burson Playmate 2 at $549. It's a very good amp along with a very good DAC. I think they're sort of equal in quality, no shortcomings with either. Neither one is lacking, just a good solid DAC with a good solid amp for $549. It's got plenty of power for most headphones, and little bit on the warm side of neutral, kind of a rich, kind of a liquid sound. The DAC has a lot of weight to the sound. Not the last word in soundstage width, but pretty close, and like I said, just a great combo for the price. I do want to mention once again the iFi IDSD Neo. That is a combination amp DAC. It's actually an excellent DAC. It's one of the best DACs you can get under $1,000 in my opinion, along with an amp that is very good as long as you don't require a whole lot of power. Most planar headphones and the easier to drive, or most dynamic headphones and the easier to drive planar headphones, you should be fine. But a very, very good DAC. Then combo in the $1,000 range up to $1,999. My recommendation is a Burson Conductor 3 reference. It is an excellent headphone amp with a lot of power. I think it puts out 5 watts per channel, or yeah, I think it's 5 watts per channel into 32 ohms. Class A, very clean, little bit warm of neutral sounding. Class A, very, very solid amp with very strong power and a very good DAC built into it, and that sells for $1,744, and pretty good size, got some weight to it. Nice screen on it, a lot of menus, I think the DAC has like 6 or 8 different roll-off filters you can choose from, and the DAC or the amp has 2 different gain settings, and it's pretty versatile, and I really like it. I got a few accessories I want to mention. I still really like the Schiit Loki. That would be the Loki Mini. It's the only one I've tried, the original, and it sells for $149. I just think that it's a great accessory in the fact that you can adjust the tone balance of almost any headphone to sound exactly how you want it to sound. Another great accessory from Venture Electronics is they make these little aluminum, I was going to get one, I forgot to show it to you, little aluminum adapters that adapt from your 4-pin XLR output on your amp down to either 2.5 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter, or 4.4 millimeter balanced. So, you know, if you have one of those cables, you can plug it into your 4-pin full-size XLR output on your amp. Something else I want to mention are the Kennerton lambskin ear pads, either the ECL01 or the ECLO2 if you want a little bit more bass. Just very comfortable, very well built, just very nice ear pads that are a great improvement. They're 105 millimeter. They go right on not only Kennerton LSA headphones, not the LSA HP2 though, that's smaller, that's 95 millimeters, but the HP1 and the HP Diamond, any of the full-size Kennertons, and they fit on most of the Hi-Fi Man headphones. The Sundara, the HE400, HE500, HE560, HE6, any of the the Hi-Fi Man headphones use a plastic ring, and you will need the plastic ring to mount them on your Hi-Fi Man headphones. You'll either have to use the one off the pads you have, or you will have to get a set of plastic rings from Hi-Fi Man, which I think are about $10 a pair. Another thing I wanted to mention is I still think this is a great deal. The Apache 2800 hard case from Harbor Freight Tools. They're $30 and they're pretty much the equivalent of hard cases. Not quite as nice as what ZMF comes into, but you know, very close. And they're $30 and they have the perforated foam inside in 4 layers, and you punch out the little squares and make it fit your headphone exactly. They're waterproof, they're dustproof. I can stand on those. I weigh, 208 pounds. I can stand on one of those cases and not worry about smashing my headphones. So to me, totally worth spending $30 to protect an expensive set of headphones. What else? Apos Audio makes some real nice headphone cables. They're called Apos Flow cables. They range in price. You can get them with just about any kind of connection, either at the amp end or the headphone end. And they come in, I think, 2 different lengths, and they range in price from about $109 to about $150. Very nice, high quality, and I think it's a reasonable price for what you're getting. One last accessory I wanted to mention, still very impressed by the Core Power Technologies power conditioners. Not the cheapest, but I haven't heard anything yet that does a better job of totally cleaning up my power, and I've been using those for quite a while now. Very happy with them. So I did want to mention some combinations that I think work really well together, very good synergy, and that would be a couple of the obvious or things that were made for each other. The iFi Zen Stack, the Zen Deck and the Zen Can work excellent together, but they were made for each other. So, but I did try the two together, excellent combination. Also the Topping D50S amp, or D50S deck and A50S amp. I did get a chance to use the two together. They work really well. They're made for each other and sound great together. And the last of the combinations that were actually made for each other, that would be the Audio GD Master 9 headphone amp and the R8 MK2 deck. Those two just synergize together beautifully and make a great combination. Okay, now I've got a few things that weren't made for each other that I think just, in my experience, just work really well together. And that is, if you can still find it, and I'm not sure if it's still being made, but I know there's still a lot around, and that's the Bear Dynamics T1 second generation, and that would be the 600 ohm version. My understanding is the third generation is now only 32 ohms, and it's just a completely different headphone. But if you have or can find a T1 second generation 600 ohm, put that together with the Felix Audio, excuse me, combine that with the Felix Audio Echo tube amp. I guess it's the Echo 2 or yeah, the Echo 2 now, the second version of it, which has a switch, the switch between three inputs. Anyway, I got to use those together, and it held its own. That combination, which sells for less than 2,000 for the combination, holds its own against any amp headphone combo I've heard up into the $3,000-4,000 range. Just incredible synergy. Another combination, the ZMF Verite Openback. I got a chance to review this earlier this year. And yeah, that headphone, I really like it. It sounds great with a lot of different amps. But if you combine that with an OTL Type 2 amp, it just sounds incredible. And it sounded really, really good with the Felix Audio Echo. And also I had the Waveborn Edelweiss 3, and that was the Preamp Plus that I got to try that with, which is an OTL amp, and that was just an outstanding combination. The ZMF Verite Openback and the Waveborn Edelweiss 3 Power or Preamp Plus, I couldn't stop listening. I just loved the sound of those two together. Something else that I've recently picked up on was a combination of the Kennerton Ragnar, and that's the planar version, combined with the Waveborn Edelweiss 3, and that would be the Power Amp Plus version of it, which is the latest. These are still prototype amps, and this is the latest version. But that combination just blows me away. Especially I combine that with the Pontus 2 from Denafrips DAC, and another combination that I just want to listen to it every chance I get. I want to listen to every CD I have because they sound better than anything or any time I've ever heard them before. And I will be honest, that combination, the Pontus 2 by Denafrips running into the Waveborn Edelweiss 3 Power Amp Plus running into the Kennerton Ragnar planar version is the best combination I've ever heard up to this point. So, and I haven't heard everything, but I have heard quite a few headphones and amps and Dacs, and that is the best I've ever heard. So anyway, last thing before I wrap this up, I want to give some awards out, and I forgot to put them in my notes. I kind of made some side notes, so I guess I'll grab those here. My best budget DAC, I'm giving that award to the Topping E30 for $149. I don't think you can beat it. There might be something else out there that can compete or maybe better, but I haven't heard it yet if there is. My most bang for the buck DAC. That award is going to the Topping D70S. That's the MQA version that I had. In my opinion, that DAC, has a very similar sound to either of the almost $2,000 R2R DACs that I have in right now. Not quite there, but it takes you 90% of the way there for 1/3 of the price. And in my opinion, this at $650 is a DAC that's worthy of using it with a high-end headphone amp and a high-end headphone. So if you've already got the headphone, you've already got the amp you want or whatever, and you need a really good DAC, but you can't spend $2,000 or $3,000 right now on a DAC, that's a DAC you should be buying. It's got a warm, rich, sort of lush sound to it. Very R2R, sounds very similar to those R2R DACs, and couldn't recommend it more for the price. My award for the cleanest sounding DAC, the most perfect, this is a DAC that apparently measures as good as they get. The measurements are considered to be perfect, and that's the way it sounds. It's just an extremely clean sounding DAC. A little analytical in my opinion. I'm kind of leaning more towards the R2R DACs now, but that This award goes to the topping D90 SE. That sells for $899, and if you want to etch out every last detail of your sound with of your recordings with no coloration, just it's gonna play what's on your recordings. It's not going to warm it up. It's not going to color the sound. Cleanest sounding DAC, topping D90 ES. My award for the best combination DAC headphone amp is going to the Burson Conductor 3 Reference, an excellent amp with tons of power, with a very good built-in DAC. Just a great combination, sells for $1,744. And then best DAC overall, regardless of price. Once again, I mentioned this earlier, I'm having trouble deciding between the Audio GD R8 MK2 and the Denafrips Pontus 2. And they're very similar. They have a similar price. They're both very large. The Audio GD is actually the largest of the two at about 17 inches square, where the Denafrips is about 13 inches square. But they're both similar weight. I think the Audio GD is about 26 pounds. The Denafrips is about 25 and a half. Very, very solid build. Like I said, I can't really choose. I'm going to kind of award this to both. I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards the Denafrips right now, but I need to put in some more time and really do some long-term, I've already put at least a few hours in comparing the two back and forth. And like I said, they sound very similar to me. I mentioned earlier that the Denafrips, they do sound a little bit different. There is a difference. They're not exactly the same. And I'm kind of coming up with the Denafrips maybe just having a slightly sharper focus, but I'm not positive on that. So I'm still, I haven't done my full review of the Denafrips yet, and I will try to update you on that when I do that. Hopefully that'll be in a couple weeks. So I'll let you know what I find out. So anyway, that's it with this third part of my review. I've got my full review of the Hi-Fi Man Aria that's way overdue. I need to get that out, so that's probably what you're going to see next from me. So anyway, going to wrap this up now. Once again, this is William from the Headphone Experience. If this video has helped you, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please join us over at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. We just passed 15,000 members last night, so continuing to grow at least 20-30 members a day. So hope to see you over there, and once again, thanks for watching my video.